National Historic Preservation Act was passed by Congress in 1966, primarily in response to the fact that so many of our nation's historic places were being destroyed by development. And so ADOT has to consider the effects on historic properties of our undertakings, of our projects. The Beethoven site is located just about 5 miles north of Snowflake. It's near the confluence of 5 Mile Draw and Silver Creek. That's an area that prehistorically was very active. The Zuni and the Hopi peoples used the area, the Apache and Navajos used the area. That area was scheduled for culvert extensions and for passing lanes in the future. In order to get the grant to extend the excavations at this time, rather than wait many years or several years until we had a federal project, we had to be fairly confident that this site was special. And the limited excavations that we had done previously gave us a fair degree of confidence that that was true. But archaeology is a science where you can't really know until you start to look.
I thought I'd show you what we did here. Each little house in here is a little bit different.
So we did what we usually do. We went in with a backhoe and we started putting in some trenches. We started finding more sites and features and pit houses. And we realized that indeed the site was going to live up to its promise.
Right now you're looking at 2 pits that have rocks in it.
It's been an opportunity to get in there and actually recover a lot of new information.
See if they want to heat the house, they take those out and store them.
And to find this communal structure is a really big step forward in understanding this time period.
The site, we think, dates between 650 and 800 AD.
I think what's really valuable, and you see it in the Beethoven site where we invited the Hopi and the Zuni down to participate in what we found, is that these are not places that were simply abandoned, forgotten about, covered with dirt, and left for dead, so to speak.
This is very typical of what's coming out of the site.
These are places that are really important in that long-term memory that the tribes keep.
This one was placed in a ritual area of the site, and this one was placed behind a wall.
Just solidifies our oral history within this area. What they're calling sites are really ancestral dwellings. And I think the assumption of the archaeologists was that there might have been 2 or 3 different types of people here. No, it's one group of people, but with different skills. The one that had the blackened slab stones was probably a healer. So that one structure was very significant, very important.
The Beethoven site is not a good candidate for what we call preservation in place. It's a buried site. You can drive by it and not see it. So what we had to do was come up with what we call a data recovery plan so that we could get out of the site what the Act calls its information potential.
We'll put the dirt back in the trenches and in the pit houses. We'll then carry out our excavations, write a report, and then by the time ADOT is actually out here constructing, they'll be able to avoid some impacts by not digging in certain places or putting fill in other places.
I'm glad that ADOT is doing this because we do have a recommendation that these sites be protected for perpetuity. And even if there's asphalt on top of it, at least we know that there is our ancestral dwellings still being protected by that, different means, but at least they're protected.
ADOT, keeping Arizona moving.